All right, what's up, everybody? Welcome to the second part here. We're being talking with Connor about his amazing 2022 year. That's in the last video. And now we want to still push that like button and still leave a comment and still subscribe. But we want to dig into a little bit like the wealth of experience that this guy has. I mean, you've been, you were kind of like what the new kids are now. You were the 14-year-old kid beating some of the big guys, and that was Channel Crossing 2008-ish.
Yeah.
Like that.
It's been about 14 years
you've
when
seen
I think
so
back
much.
to it. Yeah, that first big win was 14 and a half against the Ikolu Kalamas, the Dave Kalamas, Mark Rapphorst, Livio,
amazing
Scott, Matt. And these people might not think, oh, who are these people? But at the time, for a 14, these guys were the masters of the ocean.
Yes.
They were the guys to beat. And I just set out to be like, hey, I'm doing good at this sport. Wow, let's try. I won some prize money and kind of ran with it. And like I said, that was around 14, 28 now. So it's been a last 14 years of traveling nonstop through high school, graduated, doing online, and then continuing on the dream.
And now you see kind of like the turn of generations. Now you have guys like Shrimpy on your heels. We see women, the Spanish Armada, the Tormenta Espanol is coming around with all these young guns. Give us a little bit your take on the turns of generations and how the sport has changed for them, like in compared to what you had for as far as resources go.
I mean,
what's the main takeaway there?
Yeah, the main takeaway is, definitely a lot more resources. I mean, for instance, when I was racing, it was all about, double shaka. So I was using a longer paddle when I was a Grom than I am now, for instance. So much is involved. The blades have gotten smaller. Equipment's gotten lighter. For instance, I started out on a 12.2, which was unheard of because back then it was all unlimiteds and with a rudder. But I was so small, a 16-footer or bigger board when I was like 13. Didn't work for me. So, equipment has evolved, things have evolved, and the best part too is just like the last event in Alicante, seeing the big gathering of kids. Like the kids awards took longer than ours, for instance, because of all the age divisions and all the Groms, and they're all packed and they're all they were loud, the crowd was louder, and you know what I mean? So it's like they're really behind it there, which was really cool. Even at the Worlds in Poland, for instance, as well, like the Italians, the Spanish, all the Groms and all the heats that they had to go through, it wasn't like a one and done kind of thing. They had some advancements, and super cool to see, Noik's little brother take it out, the South African guy, Cameron, so it's just super cool. And now, of course, Shrimpy's skipping that age division, I guess, but he's still in that age division and rather just go with me. But for instance, there was no junior division when I was doing it, so there wasn't even that option. So, Shrimpy is taking that other path, and,
amazing
super
stuff.
cool.
Amazing stuff. Of course, you have seen the sport for so long, you have been in it for so long, and for some reason, I almost feel like we could compare you with somebody like a Tiger Woods or like a Roger Federer. You've been in it so long, you've won everything, you've seen the evolution of the sport. For a lot of events, it is also, you've become some sort of a cornerstone as a crowd bringer. Is Connor going to be there? And if so, how is he going to do? And first, I want to ask you, how do you see yourself with this? Like almost a little bit from an obligation point of view. And secondly, we're going to dabble a little bit into the experience and the bigger picture of the tour, the World Championships, because we're kind of going to have to talk a little bit about the elephant in the room too.
Okay.
But anyways, first, monkey on your back, goat of the sport. Is Connor going to race, and how is he going to do? And people think that when you go into a race.
For sure.
What's your thoughts there?
I definitely have dabbled in that. For instance, I would say 2000, maybe end of 17, but really like the bulk of 18, 19 was dabbling with I had to win every race, whether it was 200 meters or the Maui to Molokai, and that's on an unlimited board. So it was like there's this huge kind of weight on my back, and there wasn't, I did it all for how many years, and I had to keep on doing that, for instance. And it really ate away, and I finally broke, for instance, got lucky in a sense with the silver lining COVID, and just had a kid and did some soul searching, found myself and why I really wanted to do it. And the downwind part, the surf racing, the sprinting was really what I loved. That's when when I get on the start line still to this day, I'm jumping up and down like that little kid that first started paddling. So that's why I continued down that road. And the distance stuff in the flat water, for instance, didn't excite me as much. So I kind of just stirred away from that, didn't do as much of that, which was really kind of grinding me down and making the training a little more like not as exciting.
Yeah. No, yeah, I hear you on that. Completely makes sense. You look back so many years, you've grown older, you don't have to do everything.
Correct, yeah.
You've done it, you've proven yourself, and in order to keep going, you need to keep the stoke.
Right.
And it does not look like surf races are coming back anytime soon.
I know.
Or at
But
least not in the
maybe, you never know. That's the whole, I mean, if we switch over to the other side, the politics side, paddletics side, ISA, yeah, I mean, in theory, technically, we are located with all the surfers. So whether we're doing a Pan American Games or even the SUP surfing in Puerto Rico, had there been swell, we would have had to race through all of that. You know, would I have liked it shorter, this, that, or should it be more in the surf? Or even if it's that same distance, do we want the actual course more technical instead of having the top distance paddlers lead it?
Yeah.
If you think about it, the top distance paddlers were in the lead. There was not a single sprinter or technical even in the top five.
Yeah.
They were way behind. So that, in that sense, and then not to mention obviously that you have to qualify for it. You know, it's who knows, but if it's going to evolve and bring us to the Olympics, that's a whole different story. I would way rather see it go that way for selfish reasons because of, I mean, if it's in 2028, let's just say Los Angeles, if they're surfing Trussell's or Huntington or any of these locations for the Olympics and we do a surf race, I mean, sign me up.
Hello. Oh, yeah, totally. That would be amazingly cool.
Right. So, I'm just
pure speculation
in
at this time.
And enjoying it. Like I said, that's still a long time away. That's 5-6 years away. So just enjoying the time for now and just kind of focusing on the big events, what I set out to do this year.
Very cool. Now the frustrating part, guys. We have to talk about the frustrating part, and I made numerous videos, and I've been harping this. We have now surf race. We have championships still in surf races. We have flat water races. We have championships A, B, and C. You are so long in this. Let's talk first a little bit about the involvement with the. Let's start with the APP Tour, because after all, they've been there before the ISA, they've been there before the ICF a long time.
The Stand-Up World Series.
We've been at the Waterman League with the Stand-Up World Series. This thing has evolved. You are the last guy from the original crew that is competing in this.
Well, Arthur was in there from there, but still.
That's right.
Maybe he wasn't. I don't.
Was he in Turtle Bay?
No. Or maybe not even in Fiji, for instance.
We'd have to
but
look back.
Still, no, definitely the last guy with Casper taking a break this year.
Yeah. So where are you standing with this tour? How is he treating you this year? And what are we doing there with this world title? The world title's there.
Kind
so let's start just like
the world title is basically the battle of the world titles. That's why, I mean, it's hard. I mean, as an athlete now, I have to chase 3 titles, for instance, and these 3 titles are completely different in its own animal. So you got one-off events where, you're crowned the world champion of the world, which is huge. That's, I mean, in any sports, a world title is huge. But if you look at it as, kind of the background, maybe windsurfers or even us have taken, it's this world tour where you're traveling around the world. And APP has been the only one to do it around the world successfully for the amount of time they have been doing it.
No doubt.
And have they had their years? Yes. Right. Have they done their mistakes? Of course. Are they still having problems? Yeah, of course. But have you looked at any, not let's say F1 series or NBA, are they having their issues? Is the WSL probably in debt? Are they making money? So they just might have bigger pockets and bigger investors. And this guy has been grinding and finding these people to take us on and take us to the next level. And has he burnt them through them? Yeah, but no, it's not going to be everyone's cup of tea. Let's just be honest. This is not the most, high. I mean, I love it. I'm going to keep doing it, but he's still trying to find that one hurrah. But it's definitely, if you don't have the budget and you don't have the resources like sponsors to help with board logistics and all of that, it's a really hard tour to find, and that's why you're not going to see these events being super stacked. But they had a handful of people that did it, and you still get that kind of qualification at the end of the year, which on paper looks good.
And next one, of course, we have the two concepts. You're going to one world championship. You're competing against 500 people that everybody can show up, and we have the other concept where you qualify into it. What is it that you would? What's your preference? Does it matter to you?
Yeah, I guess when you say preference, I would really have to think about it, because it doesn't necessarily matter to me. I feel like if the right people are going to be there and want to be there, they're going to be there for the right reasons, and there's no excuse that you can't get qualified and make yourself known and get there. So there is that side of it, but that makes it a lot harder, and especially when you have some federations doing this full ride ticket, hotel, masseuse, therapist, sports coach. That's amazing. And then you have other ones that you're lucky to get your flights covered or whatever it is. So you have the full spectrum in that sense, which makes it really hard. Where you got the other one where it's one event, come as you come. There is some kind of qualification, for instance, like if you don't want to do the first heat like some guys did, Clément.
Even like at the ICF?
Correct.
Right, so you can qualify yourself, like a fast track kind of thing.
Yeah, so
straight
he
to the final.
had to do two, no, not to the final, but for instance, 2 heats. He had 2 extra heats, and then he met all of us in the next round. So there is that kind of qualification, which makes it cool, and and then anybody can show up. And then you get the age divisions, which is super rad.
Yes, and on that note, just spontaneously, my age division, the mid-40 division, seems to be one of the most competitive ones there is.
It is.
And I noticed that too. And interestingly enough, those are also kind of the people with the job and the money that kind of support the market.
Right.
And these people want to be heard more and more. But they, of course, they also want to see, they want to start next to you. They want to see like, how far behind am I going to be behind Connor? Is it minutes? Is it hours? So I guess that's kind of like, so there's this inclusiveness is kind of important, in opposed to like a pure kind of qualifying into kind of situation.
Correct. I guess it's just how you look at it, right? Like, is the Olympic style format the best for a sport? I'm not sure. Will it bring more money to, say, the ISA or ICF, and how much one of those federations actually decides to give towards our sport? Who knows? So we're still in this little limbo, which happens to a lot of sports until it makes its little hurrah. So we're just hoping for that and fun.
Speaking of little hurrah here, myself here in this 12 years, Connor 14 years. Isn't it about time for a hurrah here?
Yes.
Are we waiting for this kind of hurrah moment?
Yeah, we have been.
So let's ask ourselves real quick, brainstorming, how would such a hurrah moment look for you?
I think the biggest thing would be having support from the federation. So either one or the other, just kind of pick it and take it. Whether even if it looked like, ICF held the 200 meter and the 1,000 meter technical, and even the marathon, they can have that side of the sport and they can fund that side of the sport, and then the ISA can still have the surf race and still have it part of this ocean waterman kind of federation. And who knows how that would work, but it seems like the ICF doesn't want anything to do with the ocean, and they do. So it's 2 different sports.
And now we can go completely into the philosophy here about as SUP became a canoe sport. Things are kind of leaning towards that way, but not necessarily as a bad thing. I have to say, from my own personal experience, I'm knee deep in the surf world, and that's why I started SUP. But like a technical race in Lake Balaton, I was out of my seat. It was very exciting to see. So flatwater race does not have to be not exciting, and you can bring in that surf kind of aloha spirit into the flatwater race.
And I think that's what they love about our sport so much, for sure.
But we need to come to a point where we have to consolidate the sport. And now my question is, like, for you guys as athletes, you talk to way more people than I get to talk to. What's this common? What's the scent out there? It's like they can't be like, it can't keep going on like that forever. There's got to be some sort of a structure is going to have to come.
And I think the structure is coming, which has been there and had been there for the past 100 years or whatever it's been that the ICF has been around, and they're getting some structure from that. So they're going to take that and run with it. And that's why you're seeing so many kids, because that's a huge junior event. Like, compared to the ISA, they had some juniors there, but the amount of kids that was in Poland was just mind-blowing. So that's where we're going to get structure. That's where we're going to get, I mean, in theory, if they wanted to, they didn't have to, but a good amount of money potentially from the IOC to be putting boards at these canoe federations. It's all there. It's all right there. All they have to do is switch out a row of canoes and fill it with SUPs. So that's like it seems like that quick, easy, big hurrah. And then that's also not even talking juniors, like you said. Those are some of the biggest divisions from like above the pro and up, you know. These like, and these women and men are coming there so frothed out of their mind, especially if they get a medal. If they get a medal, they're over the moon. So this is something that's good, and most of those people are 100% buying product. And that's the biggest thing. Our sponsors for athletes to keep doing it need these people to keep on buying the new boards and supporting it and coming to these worlds and just kind of keeping that cycle going. But try to just, I guess, rev it up, I guess, and get new faces and new people and new paddlers. And
I guess just to come back to that consolidation moment, we need local clubs and federations to bring up young athletes and nurture the future of the sport. And also, for some reason, it's not fair to them when there is this constant chaos on where to paddle and what to paddle. There needs to be a little bit of a path, a clear path that shows you can walk this and you are ending up getting success, and not having to debate, is it now, am I going to a surf race, is it going to be a flat water race, is it going to be this federation, is it going to be that federation, am I going to go on the APP tour or am I not going to go on the APP tour, is that, where am I going to go? Because at the end of the day, like you went everywhere and you won your credentials, 14 times over for each year, at least one, but for these young guys that are coming in, and for the parents now, you're a parent, I'm a parent, I'm thinking like, gosh, am I getting my kids into this sport? Is there a future in the sport? So for all you guys out there that have a say in this, it's like, let's get things together and show a clear structures and make
where we want to
something
go.
happen.
Comment that. Comment which way you want to go and what federation you're thinking, or that's a great way. Start things.
So we don't have a clear solution here for this. It's really hard, and we talked about it many times, and the coin has always a flip side, and each side of the coin has its legitimacy, but maybe we're gonna just have to stand it on its edge, and keep spinning it, but that just makes our heads dizzy. So we have some work ahead of us for 2023, and what about a paddlers association, like where you guys get together and it's like, no, this is it, we're going to set the rules, this is what we want to paddle, this is the race, and this is the federation, we're going to go with it, and then you stick with that, kind of like back in the day when the snowboarders got taken over by the FIS, by the ski federation, and a lot of snowboarders said like, no, I'm not going to go there. Is that ever, anybody ever talked about it? Kind of like a
revolution. We used to, and we had the Paddlers Association, or I forget what it even was. But
there was something like that.
Paddlers Collective. Everyone has an opinion, and what it was happening, which we should try to restart, because maybe we all grew up a little bit. But what was happening with that, for instance, people were finding out who's going where and where the money can be made. Because if you're not going, for instance, Michael's not going and T2's not going, I'm going to go to that Euro Tour and make this much money, or I'm going to go to this World Tour and make this much money. I'm going to, so maybe
and then it dilutes the race. Then the race is not, then it's not representative anymore, and that's what I mean. So, we have these titles, and I'm sorry to spill the beans here, but like the women's world title list of the APP is 100% not representative, because the people are not there. So we need something where everybody goes. That's where the most money is.
Let's put all the maybe workforces towards that. I mean, if you could, that would be the ideal situation for sure. Like I said, I mean, my most meaningful, the most rewarding was definitely the ICF, just because it got everyone there. They have a structure. But selfish reasons, of course, I would pick ISA, especially if they evolved and made it more technical and even more surf racing and things like that. They've already brought us to the Pan American Games, which, I guess that doesn't bring the world, and it's not a huge event, and you have to sticker up your logo, so it's like not most ideal, but it's the second largest organization and the views and all that. It's giving it to new people. So it's good that we're there. That's a start. At least they're starting somewhere, and who knows what that can trigger for 2024, an expedition maybe from one of the federations, maybe with whatever federation wants to, that's listening to this, let's get that going, you know, like let them get, whether it's APP or ISA or ICF, let's get them to, you know, be the first one. Let's get an expedition in Paris. So we already do a race there. Why couldn't we?
Yeah,
get an
like having like
expedition there?
like a little like a side race, exhibit race in Paris. That would be good.
Which would be, you know, not necessarily, it would be ran by one of the federations or one of those people, and then you know, alongside with obviously communications with the Olympics. So, you know, that's a step forward. You know, hopefully that would bring funding to these clubs and funding to the federations, and hopefully the federations will actually spill that on to the youth and the, you know, their athletes, and, you know, try to build a legitimate thing. You know, it's hard right now. Sponsors, everything, it's getting harder and harder for sure. So there needs to be a tipping point for sure.
Yeah. Well, you know what? I have no doubt you're going to be part of shaping the future of the sport like you have. And I feel very privileged that I get to document everything and talk to guys like you. And with that being said, Happy New Year, everybody. Thank you so much, Connor, and we'll see you in 2023.